Hello, and good evening to you. Did you know that Dallas, Texas is actually the third largest city in the state of Texas? Or that Dallas, Texas is the ninth largest city in the whole United States of America? You know, me being a native Dallas Texan, born in Parkland Memorial Hospital, I know all about living in the city. Now, if you live in the city, I am sure you are quite familiar with the stress, the pollution, and all of the crime that go along with it. Now, why would anyone willingly choose to live in such a chaotic and stressful environment? After many years of suffering the torment of city living, I actually asked myself that same question. And I finally decided to move to the country. Now, it was one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life. That is why today I would like to tell you why living in the country is much better than living in the city. Country living is less stressful, has less pollution, and less crime. Living in the country is less stressful than living in the city. All of the traffic, fighting the crowds, and the general hustle and bustle that comes with living in the city all contribute to high stress levels. A recent scientific study found on nature.com states that city residents actually experienced a 21% increase in mood disorders, a 39% increase in anxiety disorders, and have double the risk of having schizophrenia. This is no doubt due to living in an environment that overall is more chaotic and less peaceful. The health benefits of country living can also be attributed to less pollution. Country living is better than city living because there is less exposure to pollution. In rural areas, there aren't as many vehicles or as many industrial plants that contribute to the negative quality of the air and water. Emissions of harmful pollutants are far less in rural areas than in the city. The Centers for Disease Control at cdc.gov state that the further out into the country you get, the more the air quality improves. This is due in part to the greater number of trees, obviously, that are in the country than in the city. Now, living in the country is indeed good for you and your health because of less pollution. Crime is also not as prevalent. The crime rate in the country is less than the crime rate in the city. In fact, Quora.com cites a 2009 to 2013 FBI crime report that reveals you are 2.5 times more likely to be a victim of violent crime in a city of 250,000 than in a small town of less than 10,000. That's a startling statistic, to say the least. Now, with so much to be concerned about, crime is something that we simply cannot get away from entirely. Watching the evening news reminds us of that daily. However, those that live in the country can be sure that they are not as at risk as their neighbors who live in the city. In conclusion, there are actually benefits to living in the city. There are quite a few great restaurants to enjoy, and there are many, many ways to find entertainment. However, the most important benefits can be found while living in the country. The health conscious can take comfort in knowing the quality of the air and water is superior to the city because the instances of harmful emissions being released into the environment occur less frequently. People can relax more often in a low-stress existence while avoiding the seemingly never-ending rat race on the highways and the long lines in the stores. Last, but certainly not least, all can feel a little bit more secure, knowing that they are not as likely to become victims of a random act of violence or crime because of the low rate of crime. Surely, after all of this, there is no doubt about it. It is better to live in the country than to live in the city.